Welcome to Bacon Wrap Business. I'm your host, Brad Costanzo, where we bring you sizzling hot business advice guaranteed to make you fat. Profits. I am sitting here in the digital cafe with my friend, Mike Koenigs. I'd like to introduce Mike to you here in just a second, but I wanted to let you know how important today's episode is. First of all, if you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher or on the website and the audio-only version, I want to let you know that this is also available on video. You can get this at baconwrappedbusiness.com/Mike K. Mike is the founder of Traffic Geyser, Instant Customer, several powerful softwares that a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, and digital marketers use to explode their business. Mike has been around the scene of online, digital, offline marketing for decades, and he is a wealth of knowledge. If there's anybody who is going to bring some bacon wrap strategies to you, it's this guy right over here. So without any further ado,
welcome to Bacon Wrapped Business with Brad Costanzo. Sizzling hot business advice guaranteed to make you fat. Profits. Every week our chefs will serve you proven recipes for ramping up your revenue. Now here's your host, Brad Costanzo.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
Oh, Mike, thanks for joining me today in your digital cafe.
That's right. It's nice to be here in my studio with you.
It's a pleasure for you to have me.
Yeah, that's right.
So, it's actually, we are in the digital cafe. Where's the bacon?
Yeah.
Flo.
Where is the bacon?
Where's Flo?
Where is Flo?
Bring us a plate?
Flo's over there. Yeah.
So, Mike, let me tell you, one of the reasons that I'm really honored to be here with you is that years ago, I think it was 2008, 2009, I was at I had just gotten into the world of digital and internet marketing, and I was at an event in Dallas, Texas, where I used to live, and I remember seeing you speak on stage for the first time about a product that you had then and you still have now called Traffic Geyser.
Yep.
And we met during the show, and I told you how much I liked it. I became a customer immediately. I had a business at the time selling celebrity voice impersonations for GPS called Pig Tones, and we used your software extensively to distribute our message out, and it worked tremendously. The videos are still out there all over the place, and I've been a big fan and follower of your work over the course of the past however many years has that been.
We're going on almost a decade.
Wow,
now,
that is crazy.
Yeah.
But one of the things I've noticed about you, and I've always really liked, is that you went way beyond just entrepreneurial or business education, and you seem to have a real knack for spotting trends, especially trends of digital trends, what's going on and where the puck is going. Mm-hmm. You built the tools and software and systems so that folks like myself and other business owners out there can take advantage of this and capitalize. And it's always worked for me when I followed you, so I was really happy to get a chance to sit down in the digital cafe where quite a few entrepreneurial legends and folks, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Tony Robbins is sat probably right where I'm sitting, and quite a few other people that I like, respect, and admire, and I just really want to thank you for having me. But tell me, one of the reasons I wanted to have you here today is because you're so on the cutting edge of everything, and because you're such a trendcaster, I guess. What do you think is really working today that the folks out there can take advantage of? And then we'll kind of dive into some of the rationale behind that. But
sure. Well, I think right now, here are the big trends. So the answer to the question lies in where the world is right now and what's going on. So the answer to the question is you everywhere now, and that's why I wrote my last book to be you everywhere now. Yeah, it's right here, and it's actually right behind your head. Absolutely. Here. There we go, the fashion shot. But the big important things are, at this moment, there are roughly 220 million internet-connected televisions.
Right.
There's 1.5 billion regular TVs in use worldwide. That number is expected to be 300 million by the end of this year. So on the surface, it's like, who cares about a few hundred million of anything, except the next thing that's happening, and has already happened, there's between 2 and 3 billion internet-connected desktop and laptop computers. There's about 2 billion tablets, so between iPads, Android tablets, Kindle devices, and then Microsoft Surface, for example. And then you have, on the cusp of 3 billion-ish, 2 to 3 billion smartphones, and at any given time, about 73% of the human race is engaged with social media on a monthly basis.
Right.
And then If you look at Google's reach at the moment between YouTube and Google, about 2 billion people use Google per month. You've got Apple that has 1.8 billion registered user accounts. You got Amazon that has between 2 and 300 million credit cards on file as well. So if you combine that with, say, Facebook, which has 800 million active users per month, 1.4 billion user accounts that have been created, and the hundreds of millions for the other services between LinkedIn and Twitter, the bottom line is, if you know how to create engaging content and distribute it, you can get underneath virtually any audience in the world and communicate with the entire connected planet for free.
Yeah.
So
For free.
yeah, exactly.
So we're going to have to explain that a little bit more for folks who think that this is crazy expensive. There's no way they could ever afford to do it.
Yeah. So what I like to say is, if both of us have a mobile television studio in our pocket in the form of our phones, and I did a test recently when we did a product launch where I had a $4,000 camera with a $1,000 lens shooting video, and then I held my own iPhone. This is a 5S in front of me, which will end up dating this video. But the quality was so good that the untrained eye probably couldn't tell the difference between a high-end DSLR with a high-quality lens and
Telephone.
your video camera. Exactly, your phone. So at this moment, practically anyone in the world can create almost movie quality, or for sure television quality video with something that they most likely have in their pocket. And then right now, we could just take our laptop, open it up, turn on Google Hangouts, or start a YouTube Live, and we could be broadcasting all these cameras simultaneously, or just one single webcam.
Right.
And whether we'd have one person watching, or Google will give you the ability to broadcast to millions of people simultaneously for free. So if you think about it, in my opinion, we live in the greatest moment in human history when it's possible to have an idea, press a button, and be broadcasting live to an almost limitless audience, either in real time and have a conversation with them at the same time, or in the form of this podcast we're doing right now, could either be audio, it can be video, it can even be transcribed and turned into a book and distributed by Amazon. So if you think of the new way of thinking is to think of your business and to think of you as being in show business, which means you're responsible for showing your prospects and your customers that you're sharp as a tack. That's a Jordan Belfort phrase. Okay, sharp as a tack, and you're the go-to person and the expert and authority in your industry.
Right.
It's up to you to show that your products and services work, to show real people getting results with your products and services, and in doing that, you can build a tribe of followers. And once you start building that momentum behind you, there's almost nothing you can do to make it go away. So when you're talking about your old videos that you made,
2008.
right? So they're still out there. They still are probably driving traffic to a page or a
Absolutely.
site. And I get that all the time. So what I like to tell people is there's a really easy to follow, easy to understand formula that you can rapidly create content that can be presented in the form of a live show, a recorded podcast, and you can be seen, heard, found, read, and noticed in any device, anywhere, anytime. So whether that's on your tablet, on your phone, in your car, on your television set, not to mention the fact that what I believe is about to occur is Apple will most likely be the company that does it. I think they're going to completely disrupt cable.
Apple TV.
Yeah, and they're going to unbundle all the channels. So you'll be able to say, hey, I only want, like, if I got it, I'd get HBO, Showtime, and I don't even know if I'd get anything else. Okay,
Right.
I have HBO Go, which is awesome, and it's on all my devices. So in a way, I already have that. I just don't care about cable. I would pay half as much as my cable bill today for just 4 channels instead of twice as much for a bunch of junk I never watched that's just a lot of noise.
You want it your way.
Exactly. And I want to read it, view it, see it anytime, anywhere, any device. So to the average young person today, they gather their information, their knowledge, they get entertained from their mobile phone. And they don't differentiate between what they saw on YouTube or on broadcast television.
Right.
It has the same value. So with I really took a long way of answering your question, but I think that the future of you everywhere now and of being in show business is a way to frame the business you're in. And when I ask someone, I say, so what business are you in? And they'll say, well, I'm a chiropractor. I'm like, no, you're actually in show business.
And then they go, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
I'm a chiropractor.
Starts a conversation.
Yes.
So I'll say, hey, I've got an idea about how you can grow your business. So
I was gonna
anyway.
bring that up, by the way.
All right, go for it.
We were sitting down together not too long ago, and you were telling the story about how you, I believe you met Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah.
Is that right? And how a simple conversation with pretty much exactly what you said and what you phrased. And I really want you to rephrase that, and I want all of you to listen closely, because what he's about to say can have a dramatic effect on your business, especially if you do any kind of consulting or client work or work with anybody else. This is really remarkable, and I noticed it was also in the book.
Yes.
So if anybody hasn't picked this up on Amazon, go grab it.
Yeah.
But go ahead and let's revisit that.
Well, here's the way the story went. As I was on my way to South by Southwest, and I was flying, and I noticed there were some people in front of me, and they're talking and they're whispering, and one of them says, and starts pointing, and says, do you see that over there? The guy goes, what? And he goes, that's Richard Dreyfuss, the guy from Jaws and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And they're kind of like, and so I saw him over there, and he was just, chit-chatting with his seatmate. And I grew up around Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Star Wars, and I love those movies. And I think Mr. Holland's Opus was such a great
amazing
story. And I had been following Dreyfuss for a while because he's really opinionated and he knows how to hold court. And I found out a little bit later why as I got to know him a little bit better. But he has a really fun personality, and he's interested in everything. And it's because he comes from a family of lawyers, of attorneys, okay? Yeah. And he thinks like one, but he's also a great historian, and he loves American history. He knows everything about American history, going back from the earliest days until modern times, and also how our legal system works. And what he did a few years ago is he dropped out of acting. He went to Oxford, studied there, and he's interested in civic mindedness. In other words, how can you participate in your society, in your city, in your town, and have a massive impact and do the right thing? And it's not a popular topic. It's not very interesting until you learn about how important it really is, in the sense that a lot of young people and most people these days feel completely powerless in their government and also apathetic. And he has a vision for life and liberty and justice and what the founding fathers originally created, but he's also developed a curriculum for teaching some of these ideas and also teaching what he considers media responsibility. He's not a big fan of lobbyists, or politicians for that matter. But gaining traction with a nonprofit is incredibly difficult. So he has this thing called the Dreyfus Initiative. So here's what happened. I heard that conversation, and I knew I'd been kind of paying attention to him, and years ago he was on Bill Maher's show, and I love Bill Maher. I think he's really interesting. He loves to stir things up, and I appreciate that mindset.
Well, whether you agree with him or disagree with him, you can't not pay attention.
He knows how to stir stuff up. So anyway, while we were on the plane, thank God for internet access, I did a little bit of research. I found a podcast and I listened to it, and then I looked at his website, and I could tell that it had been hacked together, needed some help. And I thought to myself, all right, well, it turns out my wife has a foundation. I've raised quite a bit of money for her. She builds schools and hospitals in Africa. And I thought to myself, okay, what does Richard Dreyfuss and his foundation need more than anything? And he needs money, right? And just because you're an actor, remember there's a difference, and he told me this too. He says the difference between a movie star and an actor is about $15 million a movie.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly.
He says, I'm an actor. He goes, it's work for me. It's a job.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't get paid like Brad Pitt. I'm not Brad Pitt.
Right.
He goes, I'm an old guy. So anyway, what wound up happening is as the flight was ending, I walked up to him and I said, Mr. Dreyfuss, my name is Mike Koenigs, and I love what you're doing with the Dreyfus Initiative. I have an 11-year-old son, and teaching civic mindedness. And what this country is about is something that I'm very passionate about sharing with him. And my wife has a foundation. I've raised a lot of money for her, and I have an idea about how to raise money for your foundation. So it's a variation on the theme I have an idea about how you can grow your business, which instead I have an idea about how you can raise money for your foundation, or how you can lose weight, or
how you can get what you really want.
Exactly.
And I really commend you for, I mean, your knowledge and background in business is probably lent to this, but a lot of folks might not have been so keen on this, but you did a little research. You paid attention prior to this. Fortunately, you did a little research. You found out what was important to them, and then you led with that. And so often in business, people lead with
me.
Yeah, hey, can I get your autograph, or what can you do for me? And it's the easiest way to turn somebody off.
Well, that, and you don't stand out. You're just another scrounge looking for a free thing.
Absolutely.
And so here's what happened. So I got to answering the question in a roundabout way. So this happened very, very quickly, where I just walked up to him. Hi, Mr. Dreyfus. My name's Mike Koenigs. I love what you're doing with your foundation, blah, 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 blah. I have an idea about how to raise money for your foundation. He stopped. He looked at me. He says, call me Rick. I need you.
Best words you could hear.
Yeah. And he says, why don't you come over here and sit down with me? And I said, well, where are you heading next? And he goes, well, I got to check. I've got another flight I'm taking. I'm heading to Austin. I go, well, as a matter of fact, I am too. What's your flight time? And he goes, it turns out, I go, I'm on the same flight. So here's what we can do. We can sit down now. We can chat for a couple minutes, and I'll make sure that we get seated next to each other. I'll talk to the. I said I'll bribe the.
I'll do what I gotta do.
Exactly.
Forget about
I said we'll figure out a way. So anyway, he says great. So we sat down, and for about 10 minutes, I literally told him the "You Everywhere Now" story, the exact same story. I said, what's your biggest struggle right now? And he said, well, I had back surgery. He says that's why I put on this weight. He had put on some weight. He goes, it's horrible for me to travel. He says, I need to get in front of these senators and these people and get the message out and get the word out. But he says, it's just like hard to travel. He says, I've lent this foundation my name and some startup capital, but I can't be responsible for all the money. So I got to find a more effective way to raise money. And I said, well, have you written a book? And he goes, I've been working on a book for 3 years, and I'm about a third of the way through. And I go, look, I said, here's my book. And I pulled it out, and I had Multicast Marketing, which was before You Everywhere Now, and it was kind of about some of these ideas before they gelled. And I pulled it out, and I signed it for him, and I said, I wrote this book in 17 days.
I love the fact that you signed the book.
Yeah, and gave it to a famous guy.
As opposed to the opposite.
Yeah, it's really funny. And here's the best part of the story, is after I told him about this, he says, so when can we get started? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I'm going to be back on XYZ date. And he opened up his calendar. He got his assistant on the phone. He says, Jocelyn is her name. Jocelyn, I just met this young man at, look at that, I'm 48 years old, I'm a young man. But I met this guy, exactly, this whippersnapper here, at the airport. And he's got an idea about how to raise money for the foundation. Is da-da-da-da-da day working okay for you? And here's what ended up happening. 9 days later, he was sitting exactly where you are.
Hey.
And I was interviewing him for his first podcast episode. And we literally just got a call yesterday, and he wants to come back and do some more stuff. And of course, I'm going to say absolutely not. I'd hate to have an Academy Award-winning actor sitting here.
No, absolutely not.
But I love what he's doing. That's the more important thing. None of this would have happened, and I wouldn't have pursued him if A, I didn't think this worked, and B, if I didn't genuinely love what he's doing. But there's another really, really important part of the lesson in this, and that's number one, you can find and make your way into and connect with virtually anyone when you've got a couple resources at your disposal. The first one of which is when you do your research on a prospect, you know who they are, what they're passionate about is, and what their pain is. And the wedge that can get in there is, I have an idea about how you can blank get what you want, which is grow your business, get more viewers, be seen, heard, found. It could be whatever it is, whatever the pain is, lose weight, gain confidence, meet women, start your own business, right. So the other strategy, and this is what I tell a lot of people, is right now, with what you're doing. So you've got this podcast, and we're in a mastermind together, and we've obviously known each other for a little while, but you just said, hey, would you like to be on my show? And if you just walk up to someone and say, hey, would you mind Can I pick your brain?
Can I get an hour of your time?
Yeah. I'll be like, no, you can't. For
Yeah.
$15,000 you can.
Right,
That's
exactly.
what. I'm not going to give away my time. It's like, what?
Exactly.
You know, but if someone is essentially saying, look, I'm going to give you an opportunity to become more rich and famous than you already are, build your visibility, gain additional access to more people, I would like to introduce you to someone who can grow your business. That's effectively what it is. Right. So the next most powerful thing is start a podcast and identify all the people you'd ever want to connect with who could be actually your perfect customers. Okay? Figure out who they are and contact and say, I'd like to interview so-and-so, the CEO of a corporation, to be on my show to talk about management or growth or whatever it is. You could literally introduce yourself and be brought into someone's professional world by interviewing them.
Right.
Okay.
And that's what's
and then
so
when you're
amazing.
done with the interview, you can say, by the way, I've got an idea about how you can grow your business. Okay?
Exactly.
We've just spent an hour together.
The foot in the door strategy.
Totally.
You know, that's been so integral to my business with, you know, so I've done everything from, you know, building and selling businesses to a lot of consulting in the past couple of years. I really love the consulting part because I get to be the marketing geek in other people's businesses and get in there and really, you know, move the needle. But one of the ways that I've done that, number one, and this is another thing that you've taught extensively in your career with your what was it, author expert marketing machines.
Yep.
And I did this as well, which is I created a small publishing company, a private publishing company that I worked with. Started off with people that I knew, was successful at it. I used my marketing knowledge to push their books, to get their books published on Amazon. And right now, you know, guys, if you've listened to me ever before, I've always espoused the benefits of jumping on Amazon and using the tools that exist for people to
We'll do that next because I got a great nugget on that topic.
Oh,
so
we'll
keep
definitely
going.
jump on
Yeah.
that. But to, you know, in the past, you never had the ability to publish yourself. If you were self-published, you were a pariah of the publishing world, and you had to go get the blessing of a Main Street publisher. Well, now the tools are out there. Not only can you do it, but you can do it literally for free. If you have a 25-page PDF, you literally could upload it to Amazon.
Absolutely.
It may not be any good. People may not read it, but
Or it
that's
could
where
be awesome. It might be 25 pages, could be just the perfect length.
you know, a good friend of mine, and this is you know, we're sidetracking, but I love this. A good friend of mine wrote a book. I believe it was about 25 pages. Took him about a day to just kind of write it down, and he submitted it to Amazon, Kindle only, and he called it a report in the sales copy for the description. He goes, this 25-page report will teach you how to do X, Y, Z.
So he's totally transparent.
Yeah, six-figure earner, absolutely. I mean, he's a world-class marketer. He knows how to do things, but he also was able to, in one day, get something out there, and he put very little attention on it because once you get a little momentum in some of these areas like Amazon, like podcasts, iTunes, YouTube, and piggybacking off of their built-in audience, which I know you talk a lot about, success becomes sticky because the more people that find you, the more people that find you, then the more people that find you, the more people that find you.
Yeah, you build that beautiful guaranteed momentum, and it's
Right.
hard to shut down.
Oh, it is. And one of the, you know, I get asked all the time, why did I start a podcast? And, you know, Bacon Wrap Business was born for two reasons. Number one, I'd thought about it for years. I really have. But I was always too busy, and I never just wanted to have a show, the Brad Costanzo show, the Who Cares show. For me, that was just maybe a limiting belief. But then I came up with the idea for the name Bacon Wrap Business. I was like, that's fun. Gives me permission to just go have fun. So okay, I had some ideas. I decided to do it. But the main reasons was to build my platform so that I can connect with other business owners, entrepreneurs, celebrities, and other folks, because I realized the power of the social proof that having a platform gives you, whether that's a book, a show, a podcast, and you know, a lot of folks out there may not know how much my production costs are for the podcast, but it's amazingly small, and anybody can really do it if you have the most basic budget. So
yeah, we could sit here. We literally could just take an iPhone, put it on a little portable stand, and have a conversation with one shot. It'd work fine.
Absolutely.
Okay?
And most of my shows are, some of them are just done me talking into my computer microphone or calling up somebody on the phone. And some people will hear a little, it's not the perfect audio quality, but it doesn't matter because people out there, if they're your tribe, they tune in, they just want to hear quality information and connect with people they like.
Yes.
And so far it's been tremendously successful. But that brings me to, you just said you had a golden nugget or a bacon bit.
A bacon bit. There we go. So bacon wrapped.
Hey,
bacon wrapped scallop.
Believe me, I'm going to try to take this bacon wrap meme to the end. Why not? It's fun.
I say just take it to its greasy finishing end. So, you know what? I think we should squeal into the finish line. So, here's the basic idea. I'll tell you one of the most powerful foot in the door strategies that I've been using. In fact, it blows people away how cheap it is. So if I said, I know how to get you into almost anyone's home and get better attention, it's like I'm trying to think of how to phrase this, but because I've never pitched it quite this way before, but bottom line is, here's how you can get yourself into anyone's home and attract attention for under $10.
Without getting arrested.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Yeah, no one's going to. And here's what it is. So first of all, I have to frame this up and talk about how easy this is. So one of the things that we've been teaching, this You Everywhere Now philosophy, is we can open up a laptop. We could be broadcasting this show live to one person, 1 million people, or no people, just recording it, and it'd just be question and answer, some content, and that live show could be interactive. We could do interactive Q&A if we wanted to as well. That could be saved, turned into a podcast. Okay, now you got a nice podcast episode. Literally just answering questions. That's pretty cool. Or you could do it solo by just presenting and answering questions back and forth. That same content can be transcribed, turned into a book format, and from the time it's transcribed, edited, you can get a book cover made on Fiverr.com for $5 to $25, upload it to CreateSpace, and not only make it available on Kindle in about 4 to 8 hours, where Amazon's going to pay you 70% of the money, give you an Amazon author page that will allow you to schedule events as well. So then next time you're doing your next live cast, or you've got a live event, or you're speaking, or you're doing an online book report, or whatever it is, you can schedule it. You can schedule digital events. By the way, the search engine value of an Amazon listing is extraordinary.
Proactive reputation management can't be better.
Yep.
Just to sidetrack there, I have a friend of mine who is in sales, and he's looking for a sales job. And he's had a hard time. It's just, he's good, but it's tough out there. So I Googled his name, and it's unique enough to where it's not like John Smith, but nothing really pertinent comes up. His LinkedIn profile, nothing else. But he's been in sales for years, and I said, why don't we get a sales book written, which I could literally interview you, and now it could be called Attracting and Closing Customers, whatever.
By his name.
By his name. And it can be, you could literally pay somebody a few $100s to ghostwrite it if you need. Otherwise, you do it exactly like you said. Ask questions, and you've got a wonderful formula that you've used for years, the 10 by 4 formula, right? And I'll take the liberty of see if I can remember this exactly right for everybody else, but if you can answer, you could take the 10 most frequently asked questions that your customers ask you or your prospects ask you, the 10 questions they should be asking you if they knew better, and then there's 4 other, I guess you would call them maybe, these are not so much questions. To get more go here,
so it's what you put, call to action.
Calls to action videos.
In each video.
Yeah. Right, but literally if you just take those 10 questions, the 10 most frequently asked questions, and then the 10 one they should be asking, if you answer those, you've got, you could literally have a book or enough for it, even if it's Kindle, because now, in this day and age, if you get a resume across your desk and somebody's Googling you, you want something like, if they say, oh, well, I wonder if I should hire John Smith or Bill Jones. Well, Bill Jones wrote the book on sales.
Yes.
I'll bet I'm going to call him.
He's the #1 best-selling author.
Guaranteed.
Or, if you use the strategy that I'll share here. So let's just say you can do a live cast podcast, transcribe it, so now it's a book cast.
Right.
Publish it on Amazon. It's literally up and running, available for sale in 24 hours. Now you've got an Amazon listing as an author, which, by the way, if you posted the same content as a podcast, Apple gives you a free website as well, which also ranks high. So all those work to your advantage for, as you would say, proactive reputation management. But here's how to get your foot in almost any door. You find out that person's address. Okay, pretty easy to do. You can find almost anyone's home address by searching online, or you can ask for it and say, hey, is it okay if I send you a package? So what I do is I go on Amazon, and if you have Amazon Prime, I buy my own book from myself, and I ship it as a gift and have it gift wrapped. So I would just present this. If you receive a package from Amazon to your home, do you open it up?
100% of the time.
Let's say you had a gatekeeper who opens your mail for you, but then discovers that inside the Amazon package is a special gift wrap.
She's not going to open that one.
Exactly. It's going to go to the intended recipient. So inside, what I've been doing is I'll sit down with my mobile phone, I'll record a video from me to you. So let's just say it's, I'm going to use like, fill in, I don't know, what's a famous person that you'd like to get in touch with that you want to connect with? Maybe you want to interview, or maybe your audience would be interested in meeting and knowing more about.
We'll say one of every entrepreneur's dreams, Richard Branson.
Richard Branson, great. So let's say you get Richard's address, and I will just tell you that this may or may not work for Richard because I don't know about his.
Let's say Mark Cuban.
Okay, Mark Cuban.
There we go.
Yeah,
U.S.
Yes. So the way to get to Mark, and again, it might work for Richard as well, but most people, okay, what you do is you'd make a video and it would be something like, hey Mark, this is Brad. I just wanted to give you my #1 best-selling book. It's about blah, 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 blah. And I'd like to know if I can interview you for my show. We're going to talk about this, that, and the other thing. I've also interviewed people like so-and-so, so-and-so, and such and such. My email address is da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I'll follow up in 2 days. Hope you enjoy the book. Okay, so all I do is in the gift card, I say, hi, Mark. This is that book I promised you. I made a special video just for you. Check it out at www.shortdomain.com/Mark, okay? So, total cost, the book, the shipping, the packaging, it's under $10,
right?
Okay? And you talk to any business owner, getting someone's attention is almost impossible. And here, Amazon is a trusted brand. If you get something, it doesn't look fishy. It feels as real gets, and it's gift wrapped, so it's an appreciation.
That's not
mechanism.
just gift wrap. That's bacon wrap.
That's
Couldn't
bacon wrap,
resist
baby.
it. Couldn't
You know what,
resist it.
It's too bad Amazon doesn't have bacon gift wrap paper. You should work that in. You could have your bacon wrap
it might
gifts.
be. No, that's really amazing. And now, would you suggest doing that to somebody that you have never met but you want to know? Because in your example there, you said this is the one that I promised you.
Yeah,
but if you've never talked to them,
however,
and it's just, wanted to
yeah,
get this
you
to
come from an authentic place, obviously.
Right. A reason why is always, if anybody has ever read any of Influenced by Cialdini, the amazing book, they talk about having a reason why.
The reason why I'm sending you this book is because.
Because I wanted to. Because I wanted you to have it. You could literally say something like that,
Yes.
and you're probably going to get somebody to open it. This actually kind of reminds me of another strategy. Although I love yours. Yours is amazing, especially because of I get from Amazon, 100% open rate. 100%. I see Amazon, I get all happy.
Yeah.
And it might be like toilet paper that I
deliver
ordered.
happiness.
Right?
No, that's Zappos. That's right.
Zappos.
Well, they
owned
own them, so
by Amazon. So, but this just kind of this triggered a tactic that I've used in the past, and I love this. So Facebook gives you the ability to send an ad to one person. Were you familiar with this strategy?
I didn't know it still worked, to tell you the truth.
I tried it a few months, unless they've just changed it. Tried it a few months ago, and it worked. Where this is I'll put a link to this because this is way too long to kind of rabbit trail on how to do it. But if you just know somebody's Facebook profile, you don't need to know their email. You don't need to know anything else. There's a little code you can get, and you can upload it in the Google Advertising Manager and just do what's called a custom audience of one person.
I didn't know you could do it with one person, but that's awesome. Okay.
So I did that. We have a mutual friend, in the marketing business. I won't even go into it, but I did it to him as a test, and it was just a picture I'd had of him with his arm around me, and I uploaded it. And I said, "Hey, give me a call. Better yet, click this link, and I'll tell you what this is about." And it came to the page, and it said, "Hey, I know you saw an ad on Facebook that looked like it was just for you. Well, it was, and this video is, by the way, just for you. Do me a favor and shoot me an email when you get this." And then I said, "Never mind, I'll know. Facebook will tell me." So what was great is I uploaded this ad, and once more, this is all the particulars. It didn't cost me anything, and I saw there's statistics. I saw that he viewed it 3 times before he clicked on it, because it says 3 views, 1 click, and then he emailed me, and he's like, "I saw that. How'd you do that?"
Yeah.
But it was a way to sniper in on one person.
Yep.
You don't even need to know their address, and you could do something like that. Yeah. Deliver a video, a heartfelt, authentic video that says, hey, I've got this book. I'd love to deliver this to you. Maybe I need your physical address. Maybe I need something else, but I'd love to interview you on my show. I think you're amazing.
Right.
But there's so many cool, out-of-the-box ways that people can accomplish their goals.
The bottom line is, not only are these strategies of live casting, podcasting, and book casting a great way of broadcasting your message and getting paid at the same time, because I don't market these books. Right now, they're selling an average of between 25 and 50 copies a day. Okay? And inside every single chapter, so you can see this, hopefully you can see this on the camera, it says register this book and get free updates and free videos. Okay? Well, I'll hold it up here. So I've got a QR code, a phone number, or a short code to text, or a page to go to, and then every single chapter of the book has a call to action.
Are they all different? Or are they all the
they're
same?
all a little bit different. They end up going to the same place. So
Right.
this book is really intended to pre-frame the viewer on this notion of being everywhere on every device, but also about how Traffic Geyser and Instant Customer can make that happen. So it's got really great content. So I explain the 10 by 10 by 4, how to pick your perfect audience, how to feel comfortable on camera. I've got an example in there where I talk about, you can actually see an example of the video that was shot between an iPhone and the $5,000 camera, so you can see it for yourself. But it's really driving people to the Traffic Geyser sales funnel, which then educates them on our programs, our services, and then gives them an opportunity to try out the service. So it's a sales letter. It's designed and engineered that way, just as all these other books are. You know, this one, Author Expert Marketing Machines, which is the first one I wrote, I literally wrote it while I was recovering from cancer.
Right.
In my bed, I just answered questions in my phone, sent it out to be transcribed and edited, had the cover made by a designer, and in less than 30 days, it was published in a #1 bestseller in its category in 3 categories. And
By the way, I
all
don't
these
remember
books
exactly
went
what
through
the
that.
statistic was or where I read it, and I killed myself. I bet the Google machine could find it. But I believe the statistic was something like the lifetime customer value of a customer who comes in first through a book is like 2, maybe 3 times higher. They're going to spend more with you over time because of the credibility that a little old book still provides you.
Yeah.
Maybe more so than anything else, because if this is the first thing they see, this is instant credibility. We're used to big publishing houses giving us their, christening seal of approval,
Right.
benighting us, and we read this, and what's the first thing, if you read a book and you really like it, like, I want to know where I can get more information on this person, and if you go
I
searching...
give you a chance in every chapter.
Absolutely.
Right? Every chapter is a call to action.
Right, and the big publishers, this is... I had a friend asking me if he should shop his book to big publishers or if he should do it himself. And obviously I said you should do it yourself. If you think you can do it with a big publisher, that's great. They do a lot less for you than you'd think they do, as in they don't market it for you unless you're one of the top people. But also, I've taken a look in some of mainstream published books, and there is a call to action to sign up for a newsletter. It's the publisher's newsletter. It's not the author's newsletter.
They're using your platform to build their list.
Abso-smurfly.
Yeah.
So it's a big advantage to do it on yourself,
Yeah.
build it from the ground up like this.
Right, and these days, what I can tell you is, unless you have a substantial platform of your own, meaning about 40,000 in your email database and 20,000 or more followers on Twitter, Facebook, and a substantial following on LinkedIn, no publisher is going to give you a deal that involves an advance.
Right.
So the biggest advantage a publisher gives you is a certain degree of legitimacy and extended distribution.
Yep.
Okay. But beyond that, all 5 of these books I wrote in over a period of about 18 months, and I got 2 more coming out in the next 45 days, and maybe there might even be 3 within the next 3 months. So the point of that isn't to show off, but it's like literally you can get up in the morning with an idea, come up with your 10-10-4, answer the questions, and the meat and body of your book is done in a half a day. Beyond that, it's a few days to a couple weeks to have someone do your cover and edit for you. But all those are services that are very easy to find, very affordable. And where else can you have a company, a multi-billion-dollar company, promote, market you, give you a free website, and then pay you 70% of the revenue and do all that for you for free? it's crazy. And the thing that I forgot to mention is what we find is about 20 to 40%, depending on the book, of the readers, because I can track how many people buy this book on Amazon. I get 20 to 40% actually do one of the calls to action in the book.
Because you can track that. You know where they're coming from.
I totally can. So I know that, for every 100 books that get sold, I'm getting 20 to 40 leads, and they are already buyers. They spent money on an idea, on a topic. So they're willing to invest. So going from a 99-cent or a $7 or $10 book to a $100 or $1,000 or $2,000 sale is just a matter of providing them with the right information to overcome objections.
Right.
So that's why, again, to be an author, you don't have to be a writer.
Yeah,
Okay?
no, absolutely.
You just be an expert on a topic who can answer questions, and you were willing and interested in helping people.
Absolutely. Or, you could have an idea for a topic and hire experts to write it for you. It's an old strategy called ghostwriting, and you can very easily and cheaply do it. You can piece it together if you don't want to, and you get all the benefits of it, because some people just feel as though they don't have, the ability to write or to share the information, although it's stuck up in their head. There's so many ways to do it. Now that actually is a perfect segue, and you mentioned both of these tools that you have. So we've talked a little bit about Traffic Geyser, and you've just barely mentioned Instant Customer, because going back at the beginning, your business has always been about, I guess, distributing your message far and wide, whether it's how to build a product or how to promote the product, but it's really been about how to get massive distribution, at least from the outside looking in.
Yeah.
And you've built these amazing tools. So can you kind of touch on what maybe the difference is and the benefits, and who Traffic Geyser and Instant Customer are most likely to help?
Well, first of all, I'll give a big shout out, because while we're recording this, my programming team is here watching us right now. So we can say hi off camera to them. They're watching.
They're eating a bunch of bacon over there?
Yeah, they're eating bacon. We brought in some bacon to go. So this is definitely a team effort, and over time evolving this platform. So Traffic Geyser and Instant Customer are now one platform. We actually integrated them, but Traffic Geyser is your tool for uploading your content. So for example, if you made a video, your 10 by 10 by 4 video, or a marketing or promotional video, you can upload it, and Traffic Geyser will distribute it to multiple video sites.
Like YouTube.
Yep,
Vimeo.
YouTube, Dailymotion, Vimeo, and then it'll grab the links to those and post those on all your social networks. So it would grab that video link, and you can say, okay, immediately or 1 day later, 1 hour later, or however much later, post the link on my Facebook page, maybe multiple pages, then tweet it, then put it on LinkedIn, then post it on StumbleUpon or Tumblr, and it'll literally go out to over a dozen networks. It's you everywhere now.
Everywhere,
that's
yeah.
right. So if you think for a moment that if you recorded 3 or 5 or 10 videos and uploaded them, you can schedule your content to be delivered a video a day, a video a week, and it literally can save you days or weeks of time of doing all this manually. And setting up and spidering and creating that web, it makes your brain hurt. But the idea has always been one place to put all your stuff, tell it where to distribute and when to distribute it, click a button and schedule it, and it's going to get out there. But what happens then when someone reads, listens to, or watches your stuff? You have to have a means of capturing leads. And the thing that Instant Customer does that no other platform in the world does is it allows you to build mobile responsive websites that work on any device. But someone, for example, in this book, one of the chapters will say, I'll try to find an example here. It'll say, if you want to watch and see more ideas and case studies about creating podcast shows and monetizing your knowledge, visit trafficgeyser.com/bookbonus, or text YEN to 58885, or text your email address to 858-866-8812. Now, I did this a little more extensively than most people would, but the whole point is Instant Customer captures leads with voice. You can actually call a number and say your email address. You can text, you can short code, you can capture with a QR code, but it literally builds all those systems for you by filling in a form. And it integrates with practically any system out there. So I probably gave too much information.
No, that's awesome.
But it means that if someone saw, if you're a plumber, for example, you can have a QR code and a phone number on a vehicle. So people can actually see, to get a plumber right now, they might see that. Or if it's you're a financial manager, for example, you had a trade show, it says, hey, text your email address to get the financial how-to kit for free.
Right.
Well, the system not only captures the lead, but it follows up with email, with mobile text. It can follow up with a podcast. It has podcasting built in.
Really? I didn't know that part.
Yep. So now, here's another one. Like every one of your podcast episodes, we should have talked about this before we got on, but every podcast episode, you can have what we call a trigger. So you can tell someone to text pound or hashtag Mike, for example, to your show phone number. Let's say it's 555-1212. It would trigger a message that would maybe be a behind-the-scenes tour of the studio.
That's
so
great.
every episode becomes a lead capture opportunity. And every episode has its own hashtag. So you can see and measure how effective every episode is.
That's amazing.
Right?
If anybody
So-
is out there podcasting, take notes.
wanna be doing
I'm
that, yeah.
taking mental notes on that. That's
And you didn't know. So I didn't do a
bacon
good
wrap
job of...
feature.
Yeah, exactly. Wrap more bacon. Stacks of bacon.
Yeah.
So...
That's really cool because that's and there's a lot of different tools and softwares that you can cobble and Frankenstein together if you want to do this. But
Yeah.
instant
We do it
customers-
about 5 or 6 programs. You'd have to pay thousands of dollars a month, and we do it all in one place.
Right.
So it distributes your content, captures leads, follows up, and it'll integrate with practically anything you have. If you have Infusionsoft or Aweber or GetResponse or blah 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 blah, we integrate with all those.
Now that's amazing. So you've built these major platforms. Are there any ones coming down the pipe? Are there any big other trends that you see? Of course, I don't want to spill the beans on any top secret.
No, I'm not going to ruin our market share here.
Exactly.
No, here's what I will tell you. So right now, we've got a great tool to distribute your content, get your message out there. We've got a tool to capture leads in more ways than any other platform, and I would argue that trying to do that with multiple systems, it's a nightmare to integrate them, okay? So in that regard, we're unique. And then we've got training programs. So like what I do is I write a book for all of our products, so these become lead generators. So
Right.
like this system shows you it's Author Expert Marketing Machines. So I give away a book when people opt in. Now they also buy them too, because again, I don't care how they hear about me. If they buy it, great. If I give it away, well then I got an email address. I have a way of, so I think every business person should have a book to position themselves as an expert authority. I believe every person should have a podcast show now, even if it's just a mechanism for getting introduced to more people, okay? And it's also a way to get the word out, and you can do things like John Lee Dumas does, where he'll record 7 episodes in a single day. So
Guy's
he
a
does
machine.
week, right? He does a daily show, but he records all of them all at once. Now, not everyone could do that, but 1 a week is fine.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but you could record 4 in one day and have a month's worth of shows done. So it's a great investment in your time. We have another product called Make Market Launch It. It's how to turn your knowledge into products. You're selling your knowledge instead of your time. Same thing, we've got a book for that. And then this is the book that teaches the process of, again, the You Everywhere Now strategy. So the direction we're heading in is always about the fastest ways to create engaging content on as many platforms as possible. And I believe right now the big opportunity that we have ahead of us, when you look at the trends, are cable is going to start being disrupted, and broadcast already is, just as radio has, okay? The music industry has been completely disrupted by iTunes, and Apple, when Kazaa and Napster came about and everyone could steal music, what happened was Apple said, hey, look, we believe that people would be willing to pay $1 per track if they got what they wanted and they got quality music, and if they could distribute it to all their devices, okay? So, and they proved it. They won, okay? They've just flat out, hands down. Now, there's other services that you can subscribe to, but the ownership experience is still important to people, the idea that they own their music, right? And the same is true with movies. And we already know, the theater business, go to a movie theater, okay? What do you see? Empty seats, okay? I still love going to a movie theater.
For the
I enjoy
experience.
it. Totally. And to me, it's worth $30 a ticket, frankly, if it's a good movie. But I don't think most other people feel that way. The same thing happened in video game parlors, right? I mean, I grew up playing video games.
Yeah. Pac-Man.
Totally, you know, and but now, you know, you can get an Xbox One. It's better than practically any
Anything we ever played
device.
with,
Totally,
too.
and you don't have someone touched that thing, and
exactly.
you don't know what licked what. All right, so you know, at least you know who's been licking your controller.
Exactly.
So you know, and as we move forward, it's possible right now, as you've discovered, to be alongside celebrities in the iTunes store, and it doesn't take too many downloads to be a #1 in your podcast. That's going to get harder soon, okay? Because celebrities are going to be like, okay,
I can do this too.
precisely. They don't have to go through the publishing, the permission phase, and that's what's important about this. Is when I say we live in the greatest moment in human history, if you go back to the time of Gutenberg and before, so before that, kings owned the scribes. They were slaves, okay? So, or, you know, what happened with the Torah. You know, there would be scribes in Jewish traditions who spent their entire lives copying the Torah, word for word, to be perfect, okay? The skills required was extensive. It was being commissioned. And then Gutenberg, what it was originally used for, printing Bibles. Well, the church owned distribution, okay? It wasn't until it got a little more affordable that newspapers, but then it'd be the newspaper man owned distribution. And then we moved to magazines, newspapers of today, radio, publishing, television. There was an old fat dude controlling what the world got access to. In the days of Rupert Murdoch and the days of Hearst,
They're ending.
they totally are. And there's a lot of evil that's happened. And nowadays, one mobile phone video can crumble a country. Okay?
It has.
Dictators cannot survive in this world any longer because someone will grab social proof of their evil and topple them. Now, even though we hear bad things, we do live in the safest time in human history. There's more abundance than ever before, and there's actually more peace than ever before. Now,
We're just aware of all the violence. Like there's been always
there's
violence.
money in it. That's why.
Right. Well, yeah, up until really the 20th century and even the last half of it, there was terrible stuff going on around the world. We just didn't have satellite feeds, Twitter feeds, things going on.
We didn't have
telling
YouTube,
us.
baby.
It was kind of like, you know, hear no evil, see no evil.
That's right.
So now it feels like it's worse, but it's way better.
Yeah.
You know, something you brought up too, and it reminded me of, it's one of my favorite books by I'm proud to call him a friend named James Altucher. Wrote a book called Choose Yourself. I don't know if you've had a chance to read this.
I haven't read it, but I've heard of it. So
Amazing. And one of the key premises is behind the choose yourself is that you no longer have to wait for somebody else to give you permission or to choose you to publish you or to choose you to broadcast you. Now you can say, I choose myself. I'm going to publish my own show.
Right now.
I'm going to do it. Because now more than, unlike any other time in history, we have that capability,
Right.
and we have the ability to do it much simpler. I mean, when I started off just in the whole digital and online world was February of 2008, and you know, the tools then were still great, but nowhere near what they are now. I constantly, and I'm sure you've been in this world for, you know, longer than I have as far as the digital and online marketing and
film, man.
Film.
Direct, reel to reel.
how hard it was.
Reel to reel, yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's remarkable the opportunities. There's no reason for people to be, you know, broke or you know,
Yeah, it's
confused.
it's inexcusable, really.
It really is.
That's the. I feel that when you understand these basic ideas, you have a responsibility to share yourself and to broadcast yourself. You have a responsibility to help as many people as you can and become as wealthy as you can by using your talents and your skills, either as a team member or if it's your own business. And you know, one idea can have a radical transformation on someone's life, and it may take decades to develop those ideas and be able to package them, and that's just a training and education and implementation process. You know, it doesn't happen overnight. And anytime you hear the notion of overnight success, you find out, I mean, my favorite story of that is Wayne Dyer. And one of his books completely changed my life. It was called Manifest Your Destiny.
Oh yeah, that was a great
And,
book.
Yeah. And I listened to the audio tape years ago when it was tapes in cars, and it really, really rearranged my brain. But the story of Wayne Dyer went something like this. Wayne was, so the end part of this is Wayne Dyer appeared on the Johnny Carson show more than, I think it was 27 times. The question is, how did he get there? Okay, that launched, exploded his career. He became one of the top people. So here's what happened. Wayne Dyer was struggling. He was literally driving around in an old VW Beetle with the front trunk filled with his books, schlepping them at little shows and events and stuff like that, and eventually going door to door. I mean, basically penniless, you know. And every time he ever had an opportunity to do an interview, he took an interview, a radio interview. So finally, he was on a little station. It was like 50,000 watts, which is teeny, in north, like New England or something like that. And someone called him up, and he thought, this is pointless, and it was like middle of the night. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning. So it's like, what the hell's the point of being on 50,000? There's probably like 300 people listening tonight. Well, it turned out that the person who was listening that night was the producer for Johnny Carson. Loved him, booked him, and the rest is history.
You never know.
So his overnight success came after spending 10 hard years on the road and doing every interview he possibly could. Now it's possible to shorten that because of the mobile phone that you have in your pocket, of being able to capture and record your video, your audio, or to transcribe your book and be published and be broadcast and seen, and it's your opportunity to be you everywhere now.
Right.
Wrapped with bacon.
Wrapped with bacon. Just a minute ago, and I definitely wanted to cover this before we wrap up, but you just mentioned the words radical life transformation.
Yeah.
And I know that you recently had one. I mean, it was unfortunately thrust upon you, with your cancer diagnosis, and you're, as a cancer survivor, and keeping on going, and that's awesome. And you look a lot, nobody would ever know. You look like the epitome of health. Yeah. How has that really transformed your view of life, business, what you want to leave?
Yeah, in terms of legacy.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out, I was just looking at the calendar, 2 years ago yesterday, as of the time we're recording this right now, I was diagnosed with stage 3A. It turns colorectal cancer, which is a horrible place to ever get cancer. And I came out of the diagnosis, and the doctor walked up to me, who had done the rump scope, whatever the heck it's called, the colonoscopy. And I will say, they say to get them when you're 50 or older. I say, if there's any chance at all that you have any digestive challenges, or anyone in your family has ever had it, start at 40. Yeah. Okay, I was 46 when I got diagnosed, and it had most likely been around for at least a decade. It's slow growing at first, but then it'll take you over. And the first thing he says is, you need to get in for surgery now, like as in this weekend. And I was like, holy crap, because this could be it. And he says, or you're a walking dead man. He says, if we would have caught it 6 months later, you'd be terminal, and that'd be toast, okay? So the funny thing was, I just accepted it, and surgery was rough because they're removing a bunch of your parts and stapling you together, and nothing works right for a long time, okay? About a year and a half. So you were constantly searching for a bathroom. And then I had 4 months of chemotherapy, which is really grueling. I mean, it's just like, imagine the worst you've ever felt, and you feel that way for
there's no I'll get over this in a week.
You just feel like you're going to puke all the time. You have no energy, and on average, I had about an hour of functional time a day. And then, because of the nature and the distance, I had 2 nodes involved. So once you get to lymph nodes, they're like, they want to go in and do everything they can. So they go, and one of the things I did do is I interviewed all the nurses and doctors, and I asked them, what would you do if it were you? What would you do if it was your spouse, your son or daughter? And I asked them questions like, for people who die and people who survive, what do all the survivors have in common? And without exception, they all said the same thing. And this is from integrative naturopaths, et cetera. They said they went thermonuclear on it, and they did everything they could in their power. So I didn't hesitate. So I ended up going to Duke for 33 radiation treatments and oral chemo, and that's really where you lose most of your hair. And I mean, I got out of there, I weighed 158 pounds. I had a third of my hair gray. I mean, I looked like hell. And but the big lesson that I learned is you gain an insight for what it's like to be terminal, what it's like to, look at life and say this probably or could be it. So every minute becomes a moment of gratitude and appreciation. And you also, what I practiced was non-judgmental observation. In other words, your body is in so much pain, you learn to disassociate with it. So, and they do give you pain. I didn't take pain meds until the very last month, and that masks it, but your body is still in pain, right? So the only way is just to become a viewer. So I imagine myself being a camera, and this is the body, and it's just like you have to look at the body with compassion and empathy. But also, when you start seeing other people who are going through it, or children, what I can say is I thank God that it was me and not my son and not my wife, because I could not bear to watch that.
Right.
So I think in the end, it's certainly, I feel more. I would say prior to that, I didn't have a good sense of how powerful emotions are and how useful they are. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I had an authentic relationship with myself. And ultimately, I did, and I still regard it as the greatest gift I've had. Now, I'd love to have a foot of my colon back, to tell you the God honest truth. But I'm normal now, but I'll tell you what, it's like, when you live without a functioning body for a little while, you're like so appreciative and thank God. I mean, the horrible things that can happen, I walked away unscathed. And the fact that my body bounced back, it's only been 2 years. I mean, it's really only been a year and a few months since my last treatment. And when you get out of that, it's like, oh yeah, I mean, literally every day you notice you're getting better, but it's like, holy cow, it takes a year and a half.
Yeah.
And you do not take your health for granted after that. And I think that would be my recommendation, which is right now, if you're fortunate enough to be inside a healthy body, do lots of tests. If anything starts to go wrong, just go to the doctor. Run to the doctor. Do not ignore it. I ignored the signs.
Yeah.
And so I probably over-answered your question.
No,
But I'm very, very grateful to be alive, and I'm much more tuned and tied to my mission, which has been for years, is to create 1 million entrepreneurs before I pass. And I'd hope that the tools and resources that I create in the training help people create abundant, wealthy lives for themselves and their families, and allow them to share their message and to be able to connect and cause transformation to occur around and in their immediate lives, and also worldwide as well. And again, I truly believe we live in the greatest moment in human history, and that also kept me alive too. So I don't want to let go, even if this is an illusion.
I don't want to miss what's
going on. Yeah, exactly.
on.
This would be, I made it this far, man. I want to see some aliens.
Yeah,
So let's get to the alien part.
It's too much fun.
Wrapped in bacon.
Yeah, exactly. Aliens wrapped in bacon.
Yeah.
No, I agree. There's I mean, that first of all, it's an amazing story of what you went through and the way you were able to come through it and the perspective it gives you. And I can only imagine. I try to cultivate that gratitude myself for what I have, but then it always helps to put yourself in that moment.
Contrast is a great wise teacher.
Right, and I fortunately have not experienced, and I hope I never do go through what you did. But I try to imagine if I was, but I'm not. How grateful, it's really, they say that it's the key to happiness is cultivating the gratitude, and then also focusing in on your mission in life and the legacy that you want to leave. And I think you've done a really fantastic job of it with everything you've built, with all the lives you've changed. I mean, you were a fundamental cog in the wheel of my business early on, and I'm happy to call you a friend and to have me here with you, as opposed to my place.
No, I'm glad we did this.
But it was really a blast. And if anybody wants more information on your programs, Mike, you can. What's the single best place to go?
Sure.
Is it TrafficGeyser.com?
I'd go to TrafficGeyser, because what we've been doing is you can get the book for free there.
Right.
And I think the book is a great way to learn this. And I'm really transparent about it. The book is engineered and designed to create interest in our products. And it's a shining example of something that started as a live cast that turned into a podcast, into a bookcast. This thing from idea to becoming a #1 was 17 days for the second time in a row. The first time we did it is with this book, exactly the same number. So we have to beat it this next time around.
Well, and I'll just interject because,
Yeah.
guys, this is not, you said this is kind of an introduction to your products. This is not a sales letter. I mean, it is
filled with great content.
It is,
yeah.
it is the beginning of a sales funnel, but it is filled with content. I read it.
Mm-hmm.
It's filled with actionable stuff that you can, like, oh, wow, I didn't know I could do that. So even if they do nothing else, there's tremendous value in here.
Yes.
But if this does, it should set the spark to go, okay, I have to know more.
Yeah, yep. And so from there, you'll learn about the programs and the products because we demonstrate them and talk about them. But more importantly, give away, there's 3 videos. There's actually 4, but there's 3 training videos that go along with the book. And you'll also see how to embed calls to action for your business and how to frame yourself as an expert and authority. And also it teaches, again, some of the lessons that we talked about here. So I think that's a great way to get going. And, beyond that, it's just a matter of taking yourself out for lunch and doing the 10 by 10 by 4 exercise and realizing how much genius is already contained inside of you. And I would hope that would inspire and motivate a reader, a viewer, a listener to take things to the next level and want to implement it for themselves in their own business.
Absolutely. Well, guys, if you have enjoyed any of this, please go visit trafficgeyser.com. Pick up Mike's book. Pick up anything he's got. I can fully attest that it has been instrumental in my success. Well, if there's anything that I can do for you, if there's any way that I can help give you a second opinion on your business, on your marketing strategy, or even just you want to share a bacon wrap strategy that you're doing with me, maybe we'll feature it on a future episode of the show. Simply send an email to askbrad@baconwrappedbusiness.com. I read every single one of those, and in addition to reading those, I also read all of the reviews I get on iTunes. But if you enjoy the show, leave a review, let me know. Go visit trafficgeyser.com, pick up Mike's book, wrap it in bacon, send it to him on an Amazon box. Mike, I really want to thank you for having me here to the Digital Cafe. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing a lot more of what you got in store.
Yeah, got a lot more good stuff coming up. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Yep.